Ready Check Radio.
Stand by as we get ready to serve up all your news this week in the world of gaming. Welcome to Gaming Gumbo. What's up, Internet? It's Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on Ready Check Radio, it's time for Gaming Gumbo, your weekly gaming wrap-up show. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man, as always. And we're doing the show live, as always, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. If you get a chance to join us, we'd love to have you here. Chat standing by, ready to chime in with their opinions. But if you can't join us live and you're watching on YouTube or listening on iTunes or Spotify, Audible, any of the platforms, thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Give it a like, a subscribe, a thumbs up, good review, turn on the notifications, and comment down below. Feed the algorithm, and most of all, if you like what we do here, tell a friend. It's easy, it's fast, it's cheap, and it's a great way to support us. This is episode 111. If you need to know where we're at on the socials, head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com. All the backlogs of this show and all of our other shows are there. And all the socials are in the upper right. Joining me today to go over a ton of fun stuff, the rival himself, Mr. Dom Greco. What's up, sir?
How's it going? How you doing?
You're all rivaled out in the background. I kind of figured.
I am.
I was like, I know when we were covering this earlier this week on MMO Bomb, I was like, I know a certain gentleman who's probably going to spend 15, 20 minutes talking about just this, even though all we have is a 2-minute trailer.
The 2-minute trailer is all I needed. I saw the trailer and immediately went and signed up for the alpha.
We'll get to that and more gaming news in this episode, but also joining us, resident artist of Ready Check Radio, Yod. What's up, boss?
I mean, Rivals looks good. The designs and stuff, but they're going off of cartoon style designs, which works for Marvel. So
yeah.
You know, it does look good. And
speaking of hawking designs, you're headed to MomoCon, and you got some cool stuff brewing. You want to tell people about that?
I am. I'm gonna be headed to MomoCon at the end. It's Memorial Day weekend. They did shift it one day this year because normally it's Thursday to Sunday. Now it's Friday to Monday. But you know, you get Monday off anyways because Memorial Day. But yeah, so I needed some stuff to bring with me. It's going to be my first year back with a table. So I took some of our Ready Check Radio designs and put them on Redbubble, set up mouse pads, stickers, posters, t-shirts, mugs, things like that. So if you are interested in Val or Gaming Gumbo, Relic Grind has some nice stuff too with their mugs and mouse pads and stuff. Also, the emoticons, I took those and turned them into little designs on there as well.
Yeah, if you like some of Yod's work on all of these shows, which is very much appreciated, all the design he's done for us, these are not like monetization of Ready Check Radio or anything. This would directly support Yod and the type of stuff that he creates and his commissions and his work. So if you like some of the stuff that you see on the shows, yes, it's branded with the Val character and everything, but those are exclusively supporting Yod. So you're supporting a fantastic artist by heading over to Redbubble, and go ahead. Are we splitting that? No. Yeah, I commissioned these, but I own all assets, but I don't own the Val character. So Val being dressed up in my stuff is an arrangement between Yod and I that he retains the rights to Val unless I, in the future, tried to buy them off of him. So it's all his, and that's A-okay by me. Go buy whatever you like. Support that man. Totally thumbs up. Great stuff. It looks great, too. Checked it out on Redbubble. It looks fantastic. All right, so let's talk some games. First, I think we should talk about the Embracer Group, because the totally not a fire sale continues.
Right.
And we speculated on a previous show with Troy, and Yod, I think it was me, you, and Troy, because there was a rumor a few weeks ago that Embracer Group was kind of shopping Gearbox, creator of Borderlands and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and those games, around. And the rumor at the time was that Take-Two was probably the company that they were talking to the most, parent of Rockstar and GTA fame, and of course 2K Games and all that fun stuff. And it made sense at the time, right? Because 2K is the publisher for Borderlands and Tiny Tina and stuff like that. So it kind of made sense. Well, the rumor came true this week. Gearbox and Randy Pitchford headed over to Take-Two as Embracer Group funnels them over there for 460 million smackaroonies. Technically. Technically, and we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about the sale itself, Yod. What do you think, looking at the sale price, who's going where, Randy Pitchford's still going to be in charge, etc. Oh, I should note, by the way, there's a small portion of Gearbox, they were just put under Gearbox, that is staying with the Embracer Group, and that's going to be Cryptic Studios holding Neverwinter and Star Trek Online, even though like those MMOs are in the process of transferring from Cryptic to Deca anyway, so that's its own little thing, but they'll stay part of the Embracer Group. This is Gearbox proper headed over there.
Right. It's the Gearbox company, not anybody that was underneath Gearbox reporting to Gearbox with their own IPs and their own work to do. Those stay with Embracer, while Gearbox's IPs go to Take-Two.
Yeah, Gearbox Publishing West or Publishing San Francisco, whatever it's called, that's staying with Embracer and will be renamed shortly. Interestingly, though, Dom, for your end, that's the group that publishes the Remnant series, staying with the Embracer Group. So it'll be interesting to see what Hyperdrive is another one of their titles too. So what do you think of the sale as a whole, Dom? We'll start with you.
These things are just so overwhelming to me because it's like I look at the numbers and the money and I'm like, how does this much money exist? You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's absolutely, it blows my mind. But like, yeah, I mean, getting some of these companies together could be interesting. So you said the Gearbox, all the rights are going over with it?
Yes. So now Take-Two, who had publishing rights for Borderlands, now is publisher and developer.
What about like their early games like Half-Life and stuff? Is that still Valve controlled or?
Well, yeah, Half-Life I believe is still a Valve controlled series, not a Gearbox controlled one.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. It's going to be interesting to see where they take some of this stuff. I feel like a lot of these franchises have kind of been watered down a bit. So I'm hoping maybe breathing some new life into them is good for them. And I was actually, I was under the assumption that Take-Two was that game, It Takes Two. I thought they were under that, like, not even involved.
Nope,
not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah. So.
I think we might have actually talked about that previously.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah. Take-Two. Yeah. It's not involved with that publisher at all.
Yeah, I mean, remember, Embracer's in trouble,
missed opportunity,
right? Like Embracer, there's no way around, and they do try to walk around it in their investment calls, but Embracer went on that insane buying spree. Buying spree a number of years ago. They picked up Dark Horse, like outside of gaming, right? Like they picked up Dark Horse. They have their hand in Asmodee, the board game company. They picked up the Tolkien estate and all of that stuff. Like, and they just snapped up companies. And then, like, on the eve of an investment call, if you remember, they lost out on a $2 billion deal that they were basically feeling was closed. They went into an investment call having just found out the deal fell through. And then a couple of weeks later, we found out that, like, it was a Saudi-backed company that wanted to get involved there. And it's just been all downhill since there. Like, layoffs, selling off different studios to try and balance the company out. So I feel like this is a net good probably for Randy Pitchford and the teams at Gearbox, right? You know, your daddy isn't as strapped for cash, right?
Right.
And so it's always nice to be in that bit of a better, more stable situation, even if it's a bit of an unknown situation for a little bit.
From what I understand, though, there are still people at Gearboxes that's going to be losing their jobs.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's anytime there's a merger and acquisition, right? There's always going to be searches for redundancy and where you can save, and we have no idea how big those impacts will be, if any yet.
Well, I know this is no, it's not news, it's not official or anything like that. It's just things I hear from friends I have in the industry and stuff like that. And I see under social media that one of my friends was on vacation when this all went through, and he's seeing things from his friends that you know they're being let go or they're being transferred or whatever, or it's possible they're being let go. So the company is. Mm, you
Yeah,
know,
when I say it's probably a net good, obviously I'm referring to the company as a whole,
right,
not
the
individuals
higher
who
up,
certainly, I would imagine some will be unfortunately laid off again.
right,
We're like
right.
quickly approaching world record levels here of
Yeah.
gaming layoffs in the year. I saw reports though, Dom, like um, that Embracer was selling the company for like half of its worth or half of what they had bought it
Yeah.
for. Less than half, because if you remember, they bought it in 2019, and I think the price tag was like 1.3 billion when Embracer bought Gearbox. Now, on the surface, you're like, oh my god, they bought it for 1.3 billion. They sold it for whatever 460 million.
60. Yeah.
460 million. That's a huge loss. On paper, yeah, you compare the two numbers, but there's a lot of stuff that I think you have to take into consideration behind the scenes that I don't think a lot of media outlets that splash those types of headlines took into consideration. Like the $1.3 billion from Embracer to buy Gearbox, that was contingent on meeting certain sales and EBITDA targets for the first 6 years of the sale. So first off, they didn't make it 6 years before Embracer sold the company. So already it's impossible to make that 1.3 billion price tag, right? You're chopping a whole year, a little over a year off of the 6-year target. And then we don't have access to Gearbox's inner financials to know how many of those annual targets did they make.
Like their stocks and stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
and how much did they not make to get up to as close to that 1.3 billion. So yeah, the original price tag might have been 1.3, but that was contingent on a lot of things over the next 6 years. And I think it's safe to say that Gearbox probably missed a target here and there, right? And a year got chopped off the deal. The 460 incoming $1 million is entirely in new shares of 2K stock in its entirety. That's it.
Right.
So assuming Take-Two stock goes up, which I don't know, they might have a pretty big title on the horizon that would help inflate their stock for at least the short term, and Embracer's around long enough to hang on to the money or to the stock shares, that 460 million in shares today could be worth quite a bit more a year from now, 2 years from. Of course, it could go the other way, no doubt. Could become less valuable. But I think as it becomes more valuable in the short term, and that 1.3 billion isn't really 1.3 billion, I think you start closing the gap. Now, that doesn't mean I feel like they closed it entirely. I feel like Embracer probably does end up taking a loss on this purchase and sale. But I don't think it's as, my God, they sold it for less than 50% of what they paid for it. I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah.
It's still bad. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not that bad. And Embracer's in this weird spot, right, where cash flow negative businesses just aren't good for it right now. And like it or not, is Gearbox a profitable company? Yeah, at the end of the day, yes. But right now, at this point in time, they're cash flow negative, presumably. I don't have inner finance, but they don't have a new product on the market. They haven't had one for a while. They are in a development phase. They got the Borderlands movie coming up, but whatever games they're working on, they are still working on, which means they're spending money. And, Borderlands and Tiny Tina's aren't selling millions of copies every year anymore. Those times have come and gone. They still get a little scratch from them, no doubt. But they're generally, I would think it would be safe to say they're probably in a cash flow negative cycle right now, which is totally normal for their type of business. Embracer just can't weather those cash flow negative situations right now, Yad.
Yeah, it's not really something that they can do right now since they need the cash coming in since they lost that deal. The one we're talking about, the $1 billion deal that they got.
Do you think that would have helped though? I just have a
It-
feeling the way this
it-
company's managed it just would have delayed things if they had gotten
It is.
that.
In that, well, that's the way a lot of these billion-dollar deals and billion-dollar, I mean, maybe a person or a company, that's how they work. Is they work from deal to deal to deal to deal, and it's all based on credit. And as long as they can keep going from deal to deal to deal to deal, they can keep going.
Yeah.
Once one falls through, though, then they've got to cut back and take stock of what they have and see where they can move from there, because a lot of it is they're probably operating off of loans, and I'm no expert on this at all whatsoever. This is my personal assumption, just saying this right off the bat. But they're probably operating off of loans. So
Well,
when
I
they
mean,
go, hey,
most large businesses, I think it's fair to say, operate off of loans for short-term
Right.
capital, right?
right,
That's why, like
right.
the 2008 housing crisis, when credit was basically frozen across the board, that's why this big housing bubble all of a sudden rolled into tech industries and auto industries
Right.
and everything, because those big companies who need access to just cheap capital loans to make payroll
Right.
and stuff and short-term loans, they couldn't get
Mhm.
that credit, so it started a domino effect.
Right. So they keep accumulating these companies, and they go, okay, we just bought this company. It's gonna net us X amount over X amount of years,
Right.
and then the banks will go, okay, we see that as
The
collateral.
old future earnings.
Right. Exactly. And we see that as, you'll have capital coming in, so we'll give you this loan. And then they take that money and they go buy another company and another company. But the moment you can't get that deal, the banks go, whoa.
Yeah.
You didn't make that deal. What about the money we just already gave you?
It'll be interesting,
So,
Dom,
yeah.
to see what comes out of Gearbox, right? Like, is Borderlands, is it exciting anymore? Like, if they announce the next one, are you excited by the next Borderlands?
I've never really been too excited for Borderlands. I'm not gonna lie; it's never really been my style game. The art style is interesting for sure, but I don't know. I think I'd be more interested in something like Duke Nukem. You know?
Yeah,
I mean, they
think
did try to
for-
go aliens on us, and that.
Yeah. I think for Borderlands, we'd have to ask Faye. She was really big in Borderlands. She
Yeah, I
tried
know
to
my
drag-
brother Havoc loves Borderlands. Absolutely loves it.
Yep.
And
he said he would be.
I enjoy it too, but I'll tell you what, Borderlands 4, is that the most recent? Yeah, I think that's the most recent, Borderlands 4.
Tales from the Borderlands, I think. was
No,
the most
I mean as far as like the main line.
3.
Is it 3?
Epic is
Borderlands
3.
3? Thank you,
Yeah.
chat. When it came out, I was like, yeah, I'll end up getting it, but it's totally going to be a when it's on sale, and I think I bought it that Black Friday. Like, it's just not one I rush out for anymore. The first one was like pretty groundbreaking, right? I mean, it was just a looter shooter, but it had a very, very interesting skin, very interesting personality, and absolutely kind of, took everybody by surprise and was very, very good. 2's, the follow-up, was very good. When 3 came out, I was like, okay, yeah, okay. I'm going to try it, but I'm going to wait till it's on sale. And then I never really got into like all the myriad of DLCs. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was just Borderlands in a different skin. Again, good, solid game, but yeah, it's never really, to me at least, and Borderlands aficionados are probably going to hate this, because to them everything has innovated on itself. But it's one where I know exactly what I'm going to get out of the game, and so I'm just not. Yes, I will play it because I do enjoy that gameplay. I'm just not in a hurry to do it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
That's fair.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Diablo 4 is on Game Pass now, gents. Yesterday was the day.
Yeah. I just updated my Xbox stuff, so
It's on Game Pass through Battle.net, which is just a whole lot of fun, right? Let me log into my Xbox Game Pass, boot up Diablo, have to go into my Battle.net, let it sync, then download. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Don't know if I remember my Battle.net password.
Oh, you better hope you have it saved then, because you're gonna need it, friend.
Maybe you'll have like the app on your phone that's got everything saved, like the authenticator.
No.
No.
Last time I was using Battle.net was Warcraft, and that was on a dongle that I have around here.
on your
Whoa, hey,
keychain.
I don't want to hear about playing with your dongle. I don't want to hear about playing with your dongle.
I think I had the same one. I had it from the original
Yep,
WoW
yep.
collectors. The original WoW collectors.
Oh.
So it was the StarCraft 2. It always cracked me out because it's a StarCraft 2 little like key generator for Warcraft.
Exactly, phrasing.
Ugh.
I did download it yesterday.
Where?
Oh, that's pretty snazzy,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
I mean, I have my
Mhm.
my 14
I also have
authenticator
a,
from the.
I also have a Star Wars.
Oh wow, yeah, I never got the Star
Yeah.
Wars one. Never got the Star Wars one.
Yeah,
I think Havoc had the Warcraft one at some point.
and of course it's attached to the StarCraft 2.
Oh, the flash drive.
Yep.
Nice. I did install Diablo 3 yesterday. I was going to try and play it last night, but I ended up typing some late stories over on MMO Bomb.
Diablo 3.
Yeah, one of which we're going to talk about a little later.
4, right?
Diablo 4, yeah, Diablo 4. So I haven't played it. I haven't even booted it up. It is all 98 fucking gigs installed.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right.
Do I need a new
Dom,
drive
where
for it?
are you with Diablo 4 right now?
I'm done.
You don't
with
play it
I'm-
at all anymore?
No. No, if they come out with an expansion or something, I'll go back, but I don't care about the seasons.
What is it about the seasons that turned most people off?
I don't. To me, Diablo started out as it was a single player story game with the option to like load in and have multiplayer stuff, right? So me being someone who came from the roots of Diablo, that's what it is to me, and that's what it will always be to me. So it's something that I just prefer to go through it, play the story. I just want to see it. That's it. If I want to do it again with friends or play from the beginning with friends, that's a whole different story. But
Yeah, you and I used to do some Paragon shit on Diablo 3.
yeah, a little bit, yeah. But
We weren't crazy. It was just like, are you bored?
No.
I'm bored. All right, I don't feel like
Yeah.
doing anything in WoW. Let's go do a couple Paragon levels.
But it was when I don't remember. I think it was Diablo 3 that started the seasons. I don't remember it being in 2 at all. I think it was just it started with 3. I did the very first season. I went through because they were like, "Oh, there's like pets and things," and I was like, "Oh, pets! I love those things." And then I went through and I did it, and I was like, "This is just like playing the original time through, but now I have like very focused things that I have to do," and it's like I don't want to do that, and I just didn't. I stopped.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So when
Yeah.
D4 came out, it's like it's forcing you to be online all the time. I was like, I don't even like this. I was already not happy with that.
I mean, yeah, Diablo has always been a game for me that you play the storyline, and after you play the storyline through once, if you happen to have some friends you want to play with, then you go through and maybe play a few rounds, but you don't really. It's not really like, a serious, oh god, I'm going in hardcore, I'm gonna, climb the ladders and be the top. No, I don't care about collecting the loot. I don't care about if I have the ultimate, all purple gear or whatever. It's just something to kill time with. I mean, for a while before we stopped streaming Blizzard games, I think it was me, Faye, and Tarkov was
Yeah.
playing some Diablo 3, doing murder hobo stuff.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out, particularly now that I don't have to pay a dime for it. It's all installed and ready to go.
That's it exactly. Yep.
It's always been such a weird thing because they're trying to like take what was a single player game and turn it into a multiplayer experience, and then they're trying to make it like microtransactions and monetizable. And the problem with that is the characters and the perspective, and it's so small that like that stuff never really resonates well, and it always just seems like I don't know.
Yeah,
what's
I
the
mean,
point,
there's a big difference between your D3 or D4 character from an isometric camera view and your Overwatch skins or your World of Warcraft cosmetics.
Yeah.
Fun fact from Tazib in chat, the original version of Diablo 3 by Blizzard North was supposed to be an MMO before getting canceled. Yeah, I think I heard that. I think that was, we talked about that quite a few times over on Game Breaker back in the day.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Keeping with Blizzard here, has anybody jumped into Plunder Storm, the limited time event from World of Warcraft? Basically a 60-person battle royale kind of a fresh character. The abilities are specific to the mode itself, so you don't like take a pre-made in there or anything like that. Anybody mess around with that?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yes.
Go ahead, Dom.
I have. I've jumped in. I've only played maybe 3 games. I have not played a whole lot. It's what you would expect out of a battle royale. This is more like a Fortnite one where there's also like PvE involved, and you can like go grind out PvE stuff to like level up a little bit. So it's not like Fortnite in that sense, but like you can level your character up and get stronger. So if you fall behind a little bit and you're like level 2 or 3 or something like that, and you run across somebody that's 4 or 5, you're probably going to get destroyed. So it's kind of grindy. Not really super excited for it. I'll probably play through the season to get some of the rewards, but not super excited about it.
It's really weird for me. The mode is not one that I particularly care about. I've never really jumped heavy into World of Warcraft PvP. That's just generally not my kind of thing. Dabbled a little bit with Havoc and like 2s and stuff like that, but Havoc was like crazy World of Warcraft PvP for a long time. Like in the late Burning Crusade through about like the middle of Wrath, like if it wasn't time to raid, that's where he was over in PvP.
Yeah.
So I got carried an awful lot is what I'm trying to say there. It's not really my kind of mode, but okay, fine. You want to put a little battle. There's things about it that really confuse me, though. I don't understand why this is limited time. I don't understand that. And apparently I'm not alone. A lot of the internet feels the same way, that it's like, why is this a limited time thing? If you want to add this to the game, just add it to the game.
I think I could tell you why.
Go for it. Please do.
I personally, I feel like they want to lure as many people as possible into it to try it, to see if there's enough time, like if they should spend more development time on this and make this a permanent thing. If everybody goes in, they love it, they're going to do it.
You do have to have a sub to even try it.
Yeah, so it's like by putting it limited, you guarantee people are going to try it, right? If this was like, oh, this new permanent mode that's out in the game, I'd be like, all right, I'll get to it when I get to it. But you're telling me it's limited, I only have a couple weeks or a month or 2 months or whatever
so
to play
it's
it?
The shitty fear of missing out marketing.
Yeah, it's FOMO, the whole thing. That's all it is.
Holly Longdale also addressed, although a lot of people were asking that same question, Holly Longdale did not answer that one. But she did address in a follow-up post after Plunderstorm came out the concerns of, like, where's a PvE thing? Why are we doing just PvP limited time events? And they said they do have something planned on the PvE side. So we'll see soon. That one's not, that will make even less sense to me, being limited time. Like a PvE thing that is limited time. Are you kidding me? Why? Besides
totally
fear of missing out marketing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's kind of what Bungie's doing right now. Because they have a setup coming in before their next expansion where you have to grind to get these weapons that have special skins on them and extra perks or whatever.
And man, did they punch you guys with the nostalgia, by the way.
Oh yeah.
A lot of those weapons are old D1 weapons and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's all kinds of nostalgia, but you have to do it within this time period or else you don't get the special skin.
Yep.
And you don't get the double perks. But yeah, screw that.
Plunderstorm itself is kind of fun, by the way. Like, the mode itself is kind of fun. It's not one that I would sit there and play all day, but, you know, you want to fart around and do 2 or 3 rounds. Yeah, it is much more casual, at least my impression of it is much more casual than the other PvP in WoW.
Yeah. I do like that they made separate classes or whatever. Like, there's not even classes, I guess. It's just like abilities and power-ups that you get off the map. That way there's not like balance power of saying, oh, you know, like the mage is broken every single time because it's the range. Like, no, it's everybody's on the same playing field. So I like that.
Finally, in the big news, before we hit some miscellaneous news and then call it a day here, let's go ahead and talk about Overwatch. Yeah, why not? Because here is Marvel Rivals, an upcoming 6v6 PvP hero-based team shooter by NetEase, utilizing not only the Marvel Universe, but also the multiverse.
Mhm.
And just by watching this 2-minute trailer, if you couldn't tell, this game is aimed squarely at Overwatch fans. I don't know what to tell you. Initially, on looking at this, I was like, wow, there's Marvel characters running around an Overwatch map. Like, it looks like...
Yeah.
That map looks like... Tell me, Dom, you're the Overwatch expert out of the three of us. Look at that map and tell me that that doesn't look like it was ripped out of Overwatch.
It sure does.
This is aimed directly at that group, and I'll tell you what, it's probably not a bad time to be taking shots at Overwatch. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, if you wanted to get into this this group of games, this genre, I would have said you're an idiot, right? Overwatch just has a stranglehold on that genre. You're wasting money. Right now, yeah, might be a good time for an Overwatch competitor. And as soon as I saw a decent Overwatch competitor, there's obviously competitors out there. As soon as I saw this, I was like, oh my God, this is going to make Dom so happy.
Yeah. I mean, and also it's Marvel, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, first character I saw in there that I was like, okay. I watched the trailer with a group of friends or whatever, and me and my best friend were already sitting there going, we're fighting over Loki. Like, we are going to have battles over who gets to play Loki, who locks it in first. Like, it's going to be insane. So, I'm very excited because not only is it just like Marvel, it's not like MCU, you know, like it's also, you know, like X-Men, you know, things like that. So like the whole like storyline is based around like Doctor Doom coming in and like creating a time anomaly and that brings everybody together to, you know, to fight. And the thing that I love about this, just watching the trailer the most, is the team ups that you can do. And like you see Rocket Raccoon jump up with Groot and do a team up ability, and it's like not only do you potentially have ultimates, but you have team ultimates, and it's like that to me is just a whole nother level of stuff going on. The destructible environments are insane.
Yeah.
You know, and then you even see a little bit of stuff from like the Spider-Verse is coming in there too, because like we saw what's her name, Penny Parker from the Spider-Verse. So it's like cool.
Yeah.
Like they're really going everywhere with this, and I like it. I like it a lot.
When River Flies in chat chiming in with the all important update here, I am Groot.
So there is, I can see one major advantage something like this would have over Overwatch. Because one of the things
it's
that
not
I
currently
remember,
hemorrhaging players.
well,
Something else.
Something
else.
It's something else. It's something else. So one of the things I remember, because the wife and I was talking about Overwatch earlier today, and one of the original concepts behind Overwatch was that they were gonna do movies, animations, comic books, graphic novels, you know, the stories for those characters in-house, so they could control the storylines, get people interested in these characters, get you to know these characters and how they interact with each other. Therefore, in that case, the fan base would know who can have good combo moves with who, and that sort of thing. In this case, since it's Marvel, it's already built in there.
It's
Those people
baked in.
walking in, you know, the lore is out there already. You know that Groot and Raccoon go together.
Yeah.
You know that, you know, certain people, other characters, Bucky and Captain America, you know, they work well together and things like that. You know, X-Men, the team of X-Men, all those guys are gonna work together. They're gonna have combo moves. That's already set in stone.
Yeah.
So they can. They don't have to write all that. And of course, with Overwatch, they dropped the whole freaking ball with the lore on that one. So
Yeah, and there's always Havoc pointing out this in chat. There's always the at least initial benefit of dealing with a known IP, right?
Right.
Whether it be Marvel, which, yeah, Havoc's right. They're going to suck all the Marvel fanboys in. Even if you never played Overwatch, you'll probably give this a whirl, and maybe Overwatch gameplay isn't your cup of tea and you end up leaving, but you're going to be there initially because you like Marvel. And that's just going to happen when you see a Star Wars thing come up or a Final Fantasy thing comes up. Like, right, as soon as you put those known IPs up, you have that instant, the door is open for a lot of people. Then you just got to keep them, and of course that's the hard long-term part. I do have a concern here. It is NetEase. That's not exactly the most consumer-friendly company when it comes to monetization sometimes. I feel like this is such a direct, like they're not even making any bones about going after Overwatch's audience here, right?
No.
Like
I said, the camera angles from where how the characters are moving, it's Overwatch.
Yeah, it's to me, it's like you can't screw up this monetization, right?
No.
Like
Yeah.
you just have to do it right. Overwatch, all of Overwatch's current woes are self-inflicted. Every single one of them are self-inflicted. And that's not a slam on the development team or anything. That is a hard-working group of talented individuals. It's a leadership thing.
Oh yeah.
Behind the scenes there. Remember the whole we're going to do Overwatch 2 because of PvE, and then they didn't, right? And then they dropped 3 little story missions for, what was it, Dom? Like $12 or $8 or something like that.
Oh, it was 12 or
yeah,
more.
something like that. Well, apparently those did not sell well. I'm sure you're all stunned by that. I'll give you a moment to pick your jaw up off the floor. Yeah, those didn't sell well, and so yeah, PvE is just dead in Overwatch at this point. They're done. They're done.
Yeah.
Those 3 missions didn't sell well, so they're done. They're off. There's also an additional impact behind the scenes to the staff. So the staff used to get various bonuses based on the game they worked on and its performance, or its company performance. The company performance, sorry, not the game they worked on. Company performance as a whole. Well, they've made some changes apparently internally that now they're tied directly to the game that you work on. And because Overwatch 2 has been struggling, none of those people got their annual bonuses. So we got a policy shift inside Blizzard that then basically turned into no bonuses for the employees. So like you've got this juggernaut of a game that is slowly becoming not a juggernaut because you made it a sequel to add PvE, then didn't add PvE, then gave a little bit of PvE. We're surprised it didn't sell well after you basically said, hey, PvE isn't going to be our focus anymore. So you're canceling even that little bit that you did. People aren't getting bonus, so morale behind the scenes is falling. And this is all leadership. Like it's 100% from the moment Overwatch 2 was conceptualized until now, it's just straight bad leadership decisions. Whether that's bad decision-making at a director level or an executive level, pushing down on the team and forcing situations, whether that's a lack of focus or clear ideas from leadership on direction. It just... Matthew over at MMO Bomb wrote this piece up, and I'm just going to read his last 2 sentences because I think they sum it up perfectly. What changes going forward as far as we know right now is that Overwatch 2 will make all heroes accessible without the need for a paid battle pass come next season, Season 10, in mid-April. So, basically, Overwatch 1, we've come full circle. And only because Blizzard ain't doing well financially. And if you think about that, it's right. Come Season 10 in April, the way that they're going to open up all heroes, do the cosmetics, it's all PvE, no PvP, it's all PvP, no PvE. When you circle back now, there was even less reason for a sequel, Dom. The only difference at this point, come Season 10, between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 is the inclusion of loot boxes, which they were going to have to get rid of anyway because of certain countries not allowing them to be a product, and 5v5 instead of 6v6. Other than that, they are the exact same damn game come Season 10.
Yeah, I think they got rid of one game mode, which is the 2-point captures. That's it. But yeah. uh, some of the fan favorite maps like Hanamaru gone because they couldn't figure out how to properly balance 2-point capture maps.
So very excited.
It could not be a better time for something like Marvel Rivals, Dom.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I was just looking around at some stuff, and I just found out because he wasn't in the trailer that I saw by any means. But apparently, Frank Castle is also going to be in the game, the Punisher. So they said that he might possibly be the equivalent of Bastion for this game, and that's very exciting for me. So
That's
did you already sign up for testing?
I don't even think the trailer was completely over before I started signing up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was immediate.
It was an immediate sign up. Sign up. This is going to be free to play, developed for PC. Again, NetEase. Got to keep an eye on it, but it's just like you have such an opportunity here. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up with bad monetization. You know how to monetize this. This is not a genre where you have to think about how this should be best monetized. You know how.
Just keep it to cosmetics. That's it.
Keep it to cosmetics. Don't do loot boxes. Don't lock heroes behind anything. Do your season pass if you want to, but don't tie anything ridiculous in there. In fact, if you want to go above and beyond, do the whole pick what season you want to make progress on. They never fucking end. You know, like Halo Infinite introduced, right? Like, just do it. You know how to monetize this. I know you're NetEase, and you're probably going to screw it up, but don't.
Halo Infinite, I think, had one of the best monetization models for battle passes, where it's like, yep, this battle pass exists forever.
Yeah.
If you buy it, you can just do it at your pace, and if you want to partially do it and then switch to another one, you go do that. You can jump back whenever you want. It's like it's buying quest packs, right? It was brilliant. It was perfect.
You want to go make progress on Season 2 even though we're in Season 8? Yeah, fine. Switch to Season 2's pass. You bought it. It's yours. Do it whenever you want.
Right.
I'm actually interested. So I was really interested in Overwatch 2 because of the PvE stuff.
Me too.
Because for the stuff you were talking about, Yod, like, I've always loved the character design and the cutscenes for the original Overwatch and stuff, and I wanted to see some more of that stuff. So Overwatch 2 just never got a chance to draw me in. I honestly don't think I have ever booted up Overwatch 2 now that I think about it.
I'm just like thinking back on like the reveal trailer that they were showing for Overwatch 2 and the behind the scenes, the making of, and like everything that they were doing, showing the sandstorms and the wind effects and the trees blowing, and then you pick up a robot and you like electrocute it and it falls back and zaps like 30 other robots behind it in like a domino effect of electricity falling down. It's like so much of that was such a cool idea, and to just have it all like scrapped and watered down into like the $12 to $15 like bundle payment that we got, that was basically the Overwatch archive missions from the events that we have gotten for free for all those years in Overwatch 1. It was just a slap in the face, and
So-
I think it upset quite a lot of people.
To Cal saying, yeah, that's great for internet love points, talking about the like swapping between seasons thing. But there's a reason companies don't do that on the reg. Probably data says it's less financially viable. It's actually, you're seeing it more and more often now, and that's why I'm kind of hopeful that NetEase will go ahead and pull the trigger on it here. We're seeing it more and more in other games. And the data, although I don't have books of data sitting here, you could actually make it more viable by making the seasons themselves shorter as far as the number of levels or the amount of time it takes to go through it, but still giving you as much time as you want to mess with it. I guarantee you'll have people buying more seasons when the seasons come out, because the only time that you're going to stop buying seasons for a little bit is when you're like, oh man, I have 4 and I haven't finished any of them yet. I'm not going to buy season 5. Because you've got this big 100 level season and it takes 6 matches to gain a level. And if you truncate that a little bit, you got to find the sweet spot, right? You've got to find the sweet spot between, okay, that felt worth giving them $15 to, okay, there's 20 levels in here for $15. That's ridiculous. You still have to find that sweet spot. But if you start truncating that and then the rewards feel good, and you can actually make it more viable. And we're seeing other companies do it with that model. So I hope to continue seeing that We'll see if NetEase goes that route or not, or if they just go straight fucking pay to win and $50 cosmetics because it's NetEase. Don't overprice your cosmetics, by the way. Stop it. Let's talk about some smaller news. Joe Lieberman passed away this past week. If you don't know Joe Lieberman because you're outside of the United States, that's fine. He was a former vice presidential candidate. He was also part of the Senate. He was a Democratic senator from Connecticut for a number of years. Here in the United States, people my age, we know him as that guy in the Senate in '90s who was screaming about video game violence. Right? He's the one that was all up
specifically Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, he was all up in arms about Mortal Kombat and the fatalities and wanted to put restrictions and things on this. As far as his own political views, he kind of straddled both sides. He's centrist when it comes to a lot of things. Would lean left on certain issues, would lean right on certain issues. You know, basically like everybody in the United States except the people in Congress and the Senate who just like sit on their own encampments. You know, you lean left on some issues, you lean right on some issues. That's a normal person. And he was generally pretty good about that stuff. He also did recognize like the limitations of his job. Like he famously said like he would like to do this when it comes to video games and banning certain stuff, but I don't have the power to do that because of the Constitution. I can't ban them, right? The Constitution doesn't allow me to do that. So whatever you think of him politically, you like him, you don't like him, you think he was just a kook in the 90s, and then he came back later with Grand Theft Auto Vice City, so like he really never let it go. He really never let it go.
He did praise the rating system.
He did, and honestly, we wouldn't have the rating system in the United States right now without his hearings. That was basically a moment of regulate yourself or be regulated. The famous hearings with Nintendo and Sega, and Night Trap and Mortal Kombat and all of those fun things. And often, when some companies are told regulate yourselves or be regulated, as we'll talk about in just a minute, we'll jump down to that next, they don't really regulate themselves. Well, you could argue that they don't now, but we do have a rating system that I kind of agree with Lieberman, right? That it is better than what movies have when it comes to games, because right on the packaging, I got it, baby. Not only the rating itself, but I've got all kinds of details of what's in there. Could it be better? Sure. Is it better than nothing? Yes. And honestly, you have a lot to thank Joe Lieberman for on that, particularly parents looking out for their kids. Might have been a kook on some of this stuff and took it a little too far in my own flavor, my own taste, but that's a political argument, maybe, not a morality argument. So, unfortunately, passed away this week. And honestly, I feel like the United States would be a lot better off right now if more people at least had the willingness to look at both sides of an issue. Whether you agree with where Lieberman ended up on any issue, totally fine, but at least you could debate him about both sides of it.
Right.
Oh man, it's like my miscellaneous news is like all kinds of political stuff.
I
just realized that.
Kind of went all over the place this week.
I looked at that. I'm like, oh boy.
I did. Hey, by the way, speaking of companies that don't regulate themselves, remember how in the UK, like Belgium and stuff had like outlawed loot boxes, and the UK really didn't want to do that. They didn't want to treat them as gambling because they thought that could have unintended consequences. And they basically tried to do the same thing, Yod, right? As Lieberman back in the 90s did. And they said, look, regulate yourself or be regulated. Pick one. And some tech companies and some legislators and some game companies, including EA and other companies, they came together to like put together the 11 principles, 2 of which were pretty big and hotly debated. And that was disclosing and advertising that loot boxes were in your game. So that people knew that ahead of time in advertising, not just on the box.
How hard is that?
And,
by the way, this has loot boxes.
Yeah, and opening and giving more and easier control to parents to put limits on things in games. Relatively reasonable things. So the EA and other companies helped create those principles. fast forward, and yeah, Leon Zhao, who's an absolute rock star when it comes to, like, he's literally a loot box expert, if that makes any sense. He's a PhD, IT University of Copenhagen, and he's been involved in a lot of this stuff worldwide. So he was running just personal audits of like 260 some games and their advertising, and he's like, I can report 90% of these to the ASA for not following their own fucking guidelines on advertising loot box and ads. And he filed a few. He filed like 4, and the ASA approved all 4 and said, yep, these are valid complaints. And they went after EA and they went after Jagex for RuneScape ads. And EA was like, oh, it's human error. And Jagex was like, oh, there wasn't enough room on the Facebook ad, but we did disclose it on other ads. And the third company involved was like, we didn't read the principles that you guys created that way. We'll go ahead and fix it now.
Yeah.
Regulate yourself or be regulated.
Yeah.
Well, they chose be regulated.
He was very anti AA. I don't understand what that means. And who are you talking about? I assume Lieberman, since chat's delayed a little bit.
I don't know what it is. Other than Artist Alley, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I don't think it's Artist Alley.
No, me neither.
Affirmative action. Yeah, I don't know his stances on affirmative action.
Actually, when I heard AA, I thought Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm like,
I was like,
yeah,
I don't think he would have been anti-AA. Yeah, I don't know his political stance on affirmative action at the time.
And I'm from Connecticut, and I don't even know.
Yeah,
you know?
I was a teenager in the 90s. So I was I started 10 through 19 in the 90s.
Yeah, I was playing Mortal Kombat. I wasn't thinking about the ramifications of the violence in Mortal Kombat.
Right.
I mean, I will say that he's not wrong with the rating system, right? We needed that.
Yeah,
absolutely we did. You know, so I will say at least that much.
Yep.
Yeah, but the rest of them, I have no idea.
Vladimir Putin in Russia wants Russia. This is weird. Wants Russia to create its own video game consoles. As in the state. To create its own video game consoles. Now, some of this comes from various sanctions being levied against Russia right now for the war in Ukraine, and making it challenging to get Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo products into Russia because they've halted sales due to the invasion of Ukraine. And even, that ban, they're still getting through, right? Contraband is contraband.
Right.
But the Kremlin would like their own domestic video game industry amid harsh economic sanctions right now. And so Putin has given the government until June 15th to study the proposal. And what he wants to do, or what he's being advised could maybe be done, is that market participants say there is no competence to produce their own PlayStation or Xbox consoles right now, and creating such a system from scratch would take up to 10 years. What they're kind of suggesting is instead a more realistic option might be for Russia to source the video game hardware from China to create, because they have a dwindling supply of chips, again, blocking shipments and sanctions, to create portable consoles similar to maybe the Steam Deck, doing something like that. Very, very weird. I saw somebody comment on this saying, I'm not even sure why this is news. The Russian leader wants Russia to advance in tech. It's news because no other video game company is a state-sanctioned video game company. That's the difference, right?
Right.
Obviously, the leader of the United States, the president of the United States, would like companies in the United States to be on the technological forefront of all industries. And I'm sure the leadership of Japan feels the same way. And I'm sure Vladimir Putin in Russia would like Russia to be on the forefront of all these things. But you don't really have like the president of the United States saying, all right, let's get all of our governmental resources together and make a video game console. That's why it's news. That's why it's news. How well it'll do. Like, come on. If there, chat is now naming what this console would be called.
Yes.
I'm not gonna read some of these.
It's bad. It's bad.
I am not. I mean, they're funny. They're not like racist or anything, but
No, but it's still.
I'm not gonna read these.
So if they do come out with a
Would you buy one? Like, wouldn't you be afraid of that thing fucking just spying on you? Like,
right?
Like all of our electronics are spying on us as it is. But like, if Russia sent me a console for review, I'd be like, there ain't a chance in hell I'm plugging this in.
I was just gonna say, if they do happen to make one, you have every single freaking console out there. Are you going to get one?
No. You're out of your damn mind. My phone knows enough about me.
Michael, import one, but he'll store it in a lead box.
Probably, yeah. I would honestly be like, you know what? This fucker probably got a battery in it. I'm taking it. Even leaving it unplugged. Havoc says, send it to me. I will not only plug it in, I'll give it internet. I'll give it internet. Speaking
of Decepticon or something.
Speaking of inventing or investing in gaming, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro is investing $1 billion into a gaming ecosystem. Turns out Baldur's Gate 3 made a shit ton of money, and so did Monopoly Go. And since Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering has been on a little bit of a downturn due to their, again, own self-inflicted wounds, Hasbro and WotC have said, you know what, we're just going to put $1 billion into a gaming ecosystem and kind of keep that money train a-rolling. On the other hand, you've got Larian Studios saying, okay, we're done with Baldur's Gate 3. We're going to move on to other projects now and move away from D&D, so don't expect anything from Larian real quick on the D&D front. But yeah. WotC, Hasbro, $1 billion gaming ecosystem.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
Kotaku's editor-in-chief quit. Jen Glennon.
No.
Yeah. Remember, they lost one back in October, and now Jen Glennon is quitting, resigning.
I don't fault them.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Even your opinions of Kotaku's reporting aside.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Take all that out of it for his reasons. Her sorry, my bad. Her reasons, totally acceptable.
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
Yep. Why? Well, after careful consideration, I have concluded that the current management structure and decision-making process at Geo Media are not aligned with my values and goals for Kotaku. I firmly believe that the decision to invert Kotaku's editorial strategy to deprioritize news in favor of guides is fundamentally misguided given the current infrastructure of the site. This decision is directly contradicted by months of traffic data and shows an astonishing disregard for the livelihoods of the remaining writers and editors who worked there. And so Jen resigned. You know, you want to make guides, make guides. I don't know. There's no problem with guides. They do take longer to make and usually require fewer people, but if the data is showing you that the news is the traffic and the traffic is your ads and the ads is the money, the only, like, I have no idea why they would make this call unless it's like, you know what, we're trying to make it less profitable so it's easier to lay people off. Like,
that's what I would assume.
That's just speculation on my part. But.
Yeah, they want to shrink their workforce. Making guides, like you said, takes less people. Even though you don't go to Kotaku for guides. You know, most people go to Kotaku for nifty little news tidbits, whether they believe it fully or not, or if it's an opinion piece, you know, whatever. It's just a little something to read, not a full guide.
Nope. The Elder Scrolls put together a little 30th anniversary thing because the whole thing started 30 years ago with Elder Scrolls Arena. So there's like a little post that they put up. And I'm bringing this up because there is a little tiny portion about Elder Scrolls 6 that says, last but not least, yes, we are in development on the next chapter, Elder Scrolls 6. Even now, returning to Tamriel and playing early builds has filled us with the same joy, excitement, and promise of adventure. So while it's not a lot of information, it does tell you a couple of things. the game is going to be on the continent of Tamriel again, rather than some new area or some fantasy world, and that it's in some type of playable state.
That's good. Playable is good.
Yeah, unlike I'm sure you guys covered this on cheap plug your Square show, right? We still don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts. Where's our Kingdom Hearts?
No.
I understand like the priority is Final Fantasy right now, but I want Kingdom Hearts.
Grand Theft Auto 6 was reported as being late, and then no, it's not, but yes, it is, but no, it's not. It was very, very weird week for GTA 6.
I'm more inclined to believe that yes, it is, considering the gaming industry these days.
Right. So Kotaku reported that Rockstar was kind of afraid that GTA 6 may miss its 2025 release window and shift back into 2026 release. They updated that story, saying that while early 2025 was at one point possible, it is no longer the target for Grand Theft Auto 6 launch. Bloomberg then chimed in saying, hey, Take-Two had its stocks fall by a little over 5% because of reporting that stated Grand Theft Auto 6 is behind schedule and could be delayed to 2026. And Bloomberg also said that, yeah, it's to be expected given how massive the game is supposed to be. Video games are always behind schedule. Then Insider Gaming jumped in and said that sources close to the project said that GTA 6 is on schedule, and any signs pointing to a delay are pure conjecture. So we had all these conflicting reports all week on what was going to happen. So don't be surprised, I guess, if a delay does happen. It is Rockstar. They've delayed a lot before.
I mean, yeah.
And it is a big game.
It is.
It is a big game. Yod, what do you want to talk about Ark here for?
Apparently, after various release dates, possibly next year, possibly a year ago, Ark, the animated series, dropped.
Yeah.
On streaming services.
Yep.
So it is out. There are, I believe, 6 or 8 episodes. I don't remember right now off the top of my head. But the first season is out. Are you guys interested? Did you know it's out?
I did know it was out only because I was in Vegas at the time, and it was a weird one. So Q was in charge of MMO Bomb and assignments, and she was like, I don't know. We covered this once way back when it was announced. Do you want to cover it again? And I said, we honestly probably only covered it back because we cover Ark, the game.
Right.
I said, we probably only covered the animated series because it was a really slow day. I said, no, if you have other pieces, if you don't, put it in the pile for low priority if you need a piece before the end of the day. But other than that, no. I'm not really into the Ark games, so I have no desire to watch the animation.
I have a passing familiarity with the storyline. I did watch the first 2 episodes, and I do have to say it is not for kids. Totally not for kids.
Well, I mean, I kind of would expect that based on the game.
Yeah. Just saying.
Neither was
But
Ren and
the
Stimpy.
animation is really well done.
Stimpy.
So yeah, not for kids, but the animation is really well done. So if you want to see dinosaurs animated eating people, it's a good watch so far.
Let's go do games of the week. The way we end every episode of Gaming Gumbo here is where all 3 of us are going to give you a game. Could be a video game, mobile game, board game, card game, anything we're playing now, have played in the past, or have never played but think you should check out. And then when you chime in the comments about various topics today and your thoughts, you let us know who gave the best game recommendation. We're going to go to you first, Dom.
So I've been on like the same like loop of a couple games like over and over again. So I'm just gonna separate a little bit, but it's still an obvious one. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like I've started playing it. I'm not far. I'm not far by any stretch of the imagination. I'm only like I think right at the end of chapter 3, beginning of chapter 4, like somewhere in there. Still got a long ways to go, but I've been enjoying the hell out of it, so I'm gonna go with that.
From chat, Takao says, I'm late to the party, but playing Horizon 1 on PC, it's pretty great. Yeah, I mean, you can't beat those prices, right? They knocked the shit out of those prices. Havoc saying, my game of the week's Dead Space remake, so good. Yeah, I mean, we played it on stream. Havoc is like getting the most use out of that fucking Steam Deck ever. Ever. Like, that dude plays his Steam Deck more than I play mine, and I'm on mine pretty often. Go ahead, Yod.
So I'm going to stick with the Square Enix train and go with Final Fantasy 14 because the expansion dropped for buying, and the wife actually snagged a collector's edition.
Very cool.
Big box.
Yep.
And so I got to log in and catch up on the story before, the expansion comes out. Now's the time.
Now is the time. You got 3 months. I did get my collector's edition, too, so we're all good there. I'm going to actually recommend a trading card game that is not Final Fantasy. Star Wars Unlimited came out just a few weeks ago, and it's Fantasy Flight Games, and so I've been watching it and kind of like, I'm not into like the living card games where it's just like, oh, you go buy that and everybody gets that. I don't know what it is. It's fucking loot boxes, I guess. I like cracking packs and trading cards with people and stuff like that and customizing decks and things like that. So I'm a big fan of TCGs in general. And I've been watching it and was a little nervous because Fantasy Flight, has a reputation of putting a lot behind a Star Wars thing and then peeling back in 2 years or whatever. So I was cautiously optimistic. I did pick up the dual starter deck, the release day a couple of weeks ago. Torchwick and I played some matches on the table. It was a lot of fun. Bought some boosters, have been building our own decks, watching different content out there. Playing it on Tabletop Simulator over on Steam. If you're looking for a TCG, it's a very, very easy one to pick up. If you've ever played any TCG, it'll be even easier. But even if you have never played a trading card game, it's very easy to pick up this game. But it is a lot of fun. And so far, I mean, it's only the first set. There's a lot going on and a lot of fun to be had. I'd recommend checking it out if you can find product. Wave 2 of the first set, I believe, is shipping to stores next week. So they didn't flood the market with product initially. So find out at your local game store if they're carrying Star Wars Unlimited. Pick up the 2-player starter. Give it a whirl. That's going to do it for today's show. No show next week. A bunch of my hosts have to be off. Not enough for me to do a show. So enjoy your Saturday next week. And no Torchwick after the stream today. Concert with Zamina from Christmas, a little Christmas gift to Torchwick.
One day he'll finish Final Fantasy.
One day. So 2 weeks from now, we'll be back. Until then, Yod, where can everybody find you?
Yod Artworks on the socials, especially on Redbubble. OtakuDomeComic.com, and when we have it here on Gaming Gumbo.
Dom.
You can follow me down below at Itzista.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there, Magic Man 1, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio, and you'll know every time we're going live with a podcast, gaming, or playing some Final Fantasy TCG. Until next time, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers. No.